Entirely, I have to say that I think it's totally unfair that the Minister is not here and that he sent you to answer something that he said in the Dáil here to me last week, to which there was no basis. I have sympathy for you in your predicament as a Minister of State, and I have to say I'm shocked that the Minister didn't, as was arranged at the beginning of this Dáil by the Reform Committee, come in here and put the Dáil before whatever other commitment he had here this evening. Now, I raised the issue, as did my colleague Stephen Donnelly, of bilingual signage or labels in alcohol products. And there was a proposal of an amendment to achieve this. And in reply, the Minister said to me, "Nonetheless, in addition to the practical concern, I am conscious that we must, in a public health bill, ensure that information on the label is clear and effective. It must be the paramount objective." A study was commissioned from Amárach Research in August 2015 to provide recommendations on how to best communicate critical information through labelling on the risk relating to alcohol consumption. There must be evidence base to this, and we must ensure this is an effective way of communicating. The research indicates that the inclusion of the information in another language on labels serve to confuse the message being relayed. And then he goes on later on in reply to a further point I made to say it would be still less effective. I am in the business of evidence-based policies and evidence-based politics. Now, Minister of State, it might surprise some people to know that actually my primary degree was in physics and chemistry and mathematics. Fairly rigorous disciplines. And evidence is evidence. Not hearsay, not throwaway remarks. This is the Amárach research. All 206 pages of it. I don't know whether the Minister read it. There are 3 references in focus groups to attitudes of individuals towards Irish labelling and tobacco. And there are only 3 throwaway remarks. That's not evidence, that's people's view of a thing. There were people many centuries ago who believed the earth was flat. And if you had a focus group at that time, you would have probably got 80% believing the earth was flat. But the evidence that came forward since was that they were wrong and that their view was incorrect and that the earth is actually more round than flat. And similarly, therefore, to say that it's evidence because a few people in a focus group express a throwaway remark is not evidence. Now, when you go through this 206-page report, you actually find that they never tried in the research they did a bilingual label. They never said, look at this one, look at that one, and get the reactions. So at no stage did they actually analyse this question. And when you look at all the chapters and all the detail, this issue was not one on which they did evidence-based research. Actually, their conclusions are largely to the contrary, because they cite and of course, you know, everything federal in Canada has to be bilingual. So obviously, the report tells you bilingual is best. And Minister, I'm shocked that the Minister didn't come in here to say, sorry, I made a flippant remark. It was serious what he said, because he was putting through a bill and trying to persuade this side of the House that it would be dangerous in terms of public health to put them on bilingual. He claimed to have evidence-based evidence of this. It's clear now that he didn't.
Thanks.
Minister, as I said, there are 3 references One reference was hampered, that the information in the back of cigarette packages was hampered due to the length of the sentence and the bilingual approach in such a small space. That was a view expressed. It's not scientific analysis of the effect, because they didn't try that, because they never tried bilingual labels. Others viewed the inclusion of the messages in the Irish language as irrelevant. Well, that's their opinion, not evidence. Some respondents suggested jovially that the information in the cigarette packages were only really useful as an education tool promoting the Irish language. I just look at them and think, oh, that's how you might say that in Irish, ... May Limerick. That's the quote from the report. And the third one is, it relates to tobacco being a very different product from alcohol. Now, there is a reference in the report that, having done no study on the issue, no scientific study, no evidence-based study, as the Minister said here, they do say, as a further note of caution, the inclusive message in the Irish language served to confuse the message. Now, that was an opinion, not evidence, of whoever wrote the report. The Minister never asked for them to examine this issue of effectiveness. It isn't in the report, and no scientific analysis has been done of it. It's a clear case of a claim being made, and this happens quite frequently in the House here, that there's just no basis to it. The actual reality is that one would think in a bilingual state that people would have rights to services in the two languages. And the other point that was rose last day, the Minister accused me of being condescending. Now, what I said and what I stand over is this, that it's hard for those who do not speak the Irish language on a daily basis. It's hard for those who have not raised their children with Irish as the home language. It's hard for those who don't have grandchildren who have Irish as a home language to understand the influence of the visibility of the language around people in terms of encouraging people to use it.
Thank you, Deputy.
Minister, I actually think there's one sentence in this report that really is key. It says in the report, best in the class, Canada, and Canada's bilingual. So the report undermines the Minister's argument totally and totally supports my argument.
Thank you, Deputy.
That's evidence if you want evidence.
Sorry, thanks, Chair. I suppose again, just to say to Minister, Deputy Cuív, I understand his passion about the Irish language, and as he is an Irish language speaker himself, unfortunately I'm not. And I understand from Minister Harris they didn't accept the amendment on including the Irish language on the label for practical reasons arising, as I've already said, from the EU standstill period. And anybody who spoke in the chamber during the bill and in committee as well, made it very clear that we need this bill to be passed. We need it to take on the problems that we have with alcohol in this country, and to continue delaying the bill would be a travesty for most people who unfortunately find themselves addicted to alcohol and even dying of alcohol on a daily basis. I've already believed it's taken over 1,000 days for this bill to get through where it is now. And I suppose the groundbreaking legislation received, which we will see now, is a health warning information before the purchase of alcohol in shops and in other points in areas of airports and that as well. I am taken back by the fact that Minister O'Keefe said that there was 3 references made in the Imoric report, and I will raise them with Minister Harris. I have written them down, the ones that you've replied to, and I will raise them, and I will ask him to come, Deputy O'Keefe, back to you directly and speak to you himself, because unfortunately I haven't read that report, so I can't comment on it. Well, I don't know about that. That's not my opinion, but I will certainly come back to it.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much.
No porkies here. No allegations either.